Hey guys, how are you? Happy Sunday. Welcome into another episode of the Daily Juice Podcast with me, Matt Perrault at Sports Talk Matt. To follow me across all socials after a 3-1 night last night to Porio. Woohoo! How about that knockout? That was good. We hit our first golf bet by betting one. We hit our first UFC bet by betting one. We're going to bet our first NASCAR play of the year today. We'll see what's going to happen today with the running of the Daytona 500, the great American race happening today. I got a couple of college basketball plays. We have the golf bets that are going, and boy, if Will Zalatoris can pull this off, 30-1. Now it's only a quarter unit, but it's 30-1. If he wins the tournament, he's 2 strokes back. Patrick Cantlay's got a 2-stroke lead, but he's had trouble closing out golf tournaments. You guys are all wondering, like, Matt, why are you doing this bet? I don't understand. Because he chokes. That is why. Patrick Cantlay blows leads all the time. Now, Scotty Scheffler is gonzo, but Zalatoris is right there. If you want to take some action on Xander Schauffele, I don't hate that. It's only plus 250, but if you want to have all three, and have 3 guys to have Zalatoris, Schauffele, and Cantlay, not a horrible idea, okay? Really isn't a bad play at all to kind of have all those 3, and then someone from the outside is going to come up and beat us to get to the window. I don't know. I would recommend that play if you'd like. I'm not going to make it officially, but I would recommend that play if you want to have all 3, have action on all 3. But if Zalatoris wins, you're clearing a quarter unit. Sorry, no, excuse me. If Cantlay wins, you're only clearing a quarter unit. So you're eating into your profit pretty bad because you're going to have 3 bets on 3 guys at 3/4 units that will take down pretty much, So just FYI, I don't not official, but I don't mind that play at all. If you do think that Patrick Cantlay is going to choke, right? Because the problem is to overcome the 1.5 that we laid on Cantlay, the Schauffele plus 250 doesn't really work, right? The other 2 guys do, 30-1 and 20-1. So Zalatoris at 30-1 would be perfect. Be awesome to clear that. So let's see if Zalatoris can come up and get a W and win the event and cash that 30-1 ticket for us here on a Sunday. But that's the golf bets that we've got going on. NASCAR play, 2 college basketball bets to give you guys here, but reminders that this podcast is being brought to you by Omaha Steaks and our customized URL, omahasteaks.com/juice. Use that even if you don't want the subscription service, still use that. Even if you aren't going to go ahead and utilize any of the other offers that are available right now, use that customized URL code to go shop Omaha Steaks, omahasteaks.com/juice. There are a variety of things that are available when you go there to use that URL. It's how we get credit for what we're doing here on the podcast. So when you go to Omaha Steaks to purchase anything, please go there via the special URL, omahasteaks.com/juice. All orders from Omaha Steaks guaranteed, 100% money back guarantee, unconditional money back guarantee at omahasteaks.com/juice. Okay, so 2-1 in college basketball. South Carolina let us down, but Vermont easy. No clue what happened with that number, but we easily cleared the 2. They cleared every number. They beat up on Maine in the second half, and then Creighton came in with a big win. Creighton plays UConn next. Oh boy, in Omaha. Okay, we'll watch that game for sure after what happened to Marquette yesterday. UConn dismantled Marquette. Wow. So that was a hot team for Marquette. Interesting stuff, college basketball-wise. Interesting day yesterday. But let's start with NASCAR, and then we'll get to the 2 college basketball bets. Manufacturer prop, plus 185. I am taking Chevrolet to have their time in victory lane here today. Why? Well, I lean on my friends when it comes to NASCAR, and I got a buddy of mine who really thinks that either Chase Elliott or Kyle Busch will win this thing. I don't know if he's onto something or not, but Daytona is the race. This and Talladega. I don't care about the starting grid because you might go, Matt, wait, it goes Ford, Toyota, Chevy. Chase Elliott, the first Chevy, then Ford, then Chevy, Alex Bowman, then Toyota, and then Chevy, and then Toyota, Ford, and then Chevy. My point is, in the first 7 rows, there's a lot of other manufacturers not named Chevrolet. Doesn't matter to me. I don't care that Kyle Busch is starting way back in the 17th row. This race is not a short race. It's a long race with many wrecks and many stoppages and many strategic moves. Where you start doesn't matter. Where you finish matters. And I think we have a good shot at getting a Chevrolet into victory lane. I am really happy, by the way, for John Hunter Nemechek. If you are an OOOG of the Daily Juice podcast, you know why I like John Hunter Nemechek. He is in this race. He's in the 5th row. Yes, I will bet on John Hunter Nemechek at 40-1 to win this race. Absolutely. Will he win this race? No. If he did, would I be ecstatic? Yes. I've been talking to that kid since he was, I don't know how old he was, 19, 20, before he could get into a casino. How about that? I was doing radio shows, hosting the Joe Nemechek show for national radio. But I bet you didn't know that if you're new to the podcast, that I hosted a national NASCAR show with the Nemecheks, both John Hunter and Joe. But I would just be in love with it. If John Hunter got to victory lane, it would be ecstatic. So fun. But I'm putting 1 unit down on Chevrolet to win, any Chevrolet, to win the Daytona 500 at plus 185. I made this joke on BVB on Friday, but it really is true. It's the best nap of the year. I cannot wait. I'm going to get my first workout in, go watch Daytona, take a nap, watch the end of the race, then go get my second workout in. Today's great. I'm in love with today. Sports on sports on sports. Daytona, a Chevy plus 185 to win the race. Golf, we got 3 bets going, really 2 bets though. Zalatoris or Cantlay. Hopefully one of those 2 guys will win the Genesis Invitational. To basketball, let's talk Purdue against Ohio State. I do not believe in dead cat bounces for college basketball. All right? Ohio State's in trouble. The number is 8.5. KenPom has it as a 9-point win. Ohio State's going nowhere. They fired their head coach. And Purdue on the road is 8-3-1 ATS this year. Ohio State is 4-9-1 ATS. Yes, Purdue failed to cover in their last game at home against Minnesota. They were down at the break. They were kind of sleepwalking, and they rose up, and they won the game. But before that, laying 2.5 against Wisconsin, they won by 6. Laying 10 against Rutgers, they won by 8. Laying 6.5 against Iowa, they won by 14. Laying 9.5 against Indiana, they won by 21. They did lose at Nebraska. That's the only loss they've suffered on the road all year, and only loss in 2024 that they've suffered. Beat Maryland, laying 6.5, won by 14. They're 7-7 ATS this year in the Big Ten, but mostly that's come from games at home. Northwestern, they didn't cover. Minnesota, they didn't cover. Penn State, they didn't cover. Illinois, they didn't cover. All home games. On the road, they've been much better. I'm going to lay the 8.5. Purdue gets the job done. They work over Ohio State. They're coming off of a loss to Wisconsin. They did cover, but they were catching 9. They lost by 8. They beat Maryland in their last home game in kind of a surprise. Snapped a 6-game losing streak for Ohio State. But, I mean, before that, they lost at home to Illinois. They did beat Penn State at home, but lost at home to Wisconsin, lost at home to Rutgers. Oh, no, they beat Rutgers, but they didn't cover. Late 7.5, won by 4. But things really went south. As of the 10th of January, they recorded a whopping 2 wins. Ohio State. Chris Holtmann fired. I don't believe that's good for kids. Transfer portal shopping already, looking to get out of Dodge. I'm going to lay 8.5 points. Purdue, minus 8.5 for 1.1 units. And then I'm going to take a little shocker here. When Utah played UCLA on the 11th of January, we took Utah. Utah was laying 8.5 points at home against UCLA. They won by 46 points. One of our easiest cashes in college basketball. Now Utah is on the road at UCLA. UCLA might be the hottest team in college basketball. They've changed everything. Mick Cronin's changed everything. They have 1 loss since the 14th of January. They've beaten Washington by 12, Arizona State by 2. They covered against Arizona. They lost the game, but they covered. That's the only game they've lost during this stretch. Against USC, they won by 15. Oregon State, they won by 8. Oregon won by 8. Stanford won by 8. Cal won by 1. Colorado last game won by 4 as dogs at home. They're laying 2.5. Opened at 2, was bet to 2.5. Revenge special. This is monster for UCLA to get a revenge. If they're going to make a run here and try to get themselves onto a bubble, you got to get rid of that 46-point beatdown you suffered at the hands of Utah. Win the game outright. Revenge would be huge and a big message that things have completely changed for UCLA. I'm going to lay the 2.5 points. UCLA minus 2.5. By the way, KenPom has this as a win for Utah. 68-67. 1-point win. Okay, if you want to go off KenPom. But Utah, man, complete opposite of where UCLA was when they played the first time. Utah has lost 5 of 6. They lost to Washington State, Washington, Arizona, Arizona State, and USC. Yes, they did take Arizona to overtime on the road, but they lost by 6, 105-99. Coming off of a loss to USC on the road, they lost 68-64 to USC in their game on Thursday. I don't think things get much better for Utah here. UCLA, I think, comes up with a W. I'll go up against KenPom. Lay the 2.5. UCLA minus 2.5 for 1.1 units. All right. So the full card, Chevy, 1 unit plus 185 to win the Daytona 500. Will Zalatoris, 30-1. Scotty Scheffler at 20-1, but he's kind of out of it. Patrick Cantlay to win the Genesis, 1.5 units down to win 1 unit. Two-stroke lead going into Sunday. Purdue minus 8.5 and UCLA minus 2.5 as well. There is our Sunday card. And look, it's been a pretty good week. I like where we're at. I like what we've been doing here. We got a chance to close out the week strong. Let me see. Right now we've got what? Yeah, we've had, other than that 0-3 we suffered back on Tuesday. And they're 1-2 as well. We were climbing out of it. So, yeah, I mean, we're up on the week. Not huge, but we are up. We win here. We close out this. I mean, if Will Zalatoris wins, we're good. if he wins, we're phenomenal. At 30-1, it would be tremendous. We'll have a winning week for sure if Will Zalatoris wins the Genesis. So we're pulling for that for sure, but we'll see what will happen in here. Golf, NASCAR, college basketball. It's a fun Sunday. My name is Matt Perrault. Follow me across all socials at Sports Talk Matt every morning. The Daily Juice Podcast. Always being brought to you by OmahaSteaks.com.